So let's start possibly by settling in, and I find Zoom, I hope I express that rightly. I'm German, and my son sometimes says, no, you always say zooming, it's not zooming. So I'm now kind of aware, how do I express that word? But I think there's something very beautiful about Zoom, because in these times of separation, again increased, we can have a connection, and that obviously links very well to Friends of Benga, because the key word of Friends of Benga was connection. And Zoom can give us that despite being in different places. But there's also something we have to be aware of, because I notice that more when I work with people individually, we are zoomed in together in one room. And then when the session ends in individual work, we are zoomed out of it. And there's sometimes that lack of transition. No? Normally, when you go to a movement class, you have that transition. You might walk there, you use the car, and when the class is ended, you have another transition. And transitions are extremely important. They are part of our life. And with Zoom, it's a bit different. So you're zoomed in, you see all those squares of faces, and then at one point you're zoomed out. And I think that's important to remember. So don't get too much lost on the screen. Learn also to stay connected with yourself by feeling your body and feeling your breath, and be playful with moments when you notice you need to sit back. You might even want to close your eyes, re-engage. So work with that in a skillful way. I would like us to start with a 2-minute silence. I follow here in the tradition of my yoga teacher, with whom I'm since more than 40 years. And from whom I learned a lot about the spirit of the yoga. So let's sit for a moment, just quiet. If it's comfortable for you, you might even want to close your eyes. And you might notice how that can help your eyes to relax. Where our eyes go, our mind goes. So we might not have noticed that with the eyes, there was a leaning forwards into that screen. And so closing your eyes might allow you now to sit back. You could have that sense as if you're turning that awareness now closer to yourself. Some describe their first days around a mindfulness practice, or for me it was when I went to my yoga teacher's yoga practice, like a sense of coming home. So in the midst of others, in the midst of our group, we can also held in this place together. We might be able to come home. And that can bring that feeling that your awareness turns to what you've got right now, your body. You might just very kindly, quietly say to your body, hello. That act of meeting and befriending your body. It might be a friend you lost the connection with, and now you meet each other again. And just notice what that feels like. That invitation to bring awareness, to turn it around from the screen towards yourself, and then that sense of meeting and looking, being present in your own body. And like we would do with somebody we want to connect with, we would have a friendly attitude. So see if you can have that feeling of an inner smile. You might even feel how you can bring that to your facial muscles. so that you feel to smile to your own body. Noticing what that feels like in your body, that connection, mind to body, body to mind. Even if the body is having an illness, and even if we have a part of the body that is missing, we still would have that friendliness. In that attitude, in that relationship of friendliness, there will be more ease for the breath. So see if you can now include in your awareness of your breathing. Just noticing what your breathing feels like right now. And have that relationship to your breath again of a friendliness, a playfulness. If it feels uncomfortable, be explorative. Could you make a change? Could you make the breath longer or shorter? Would it be helpful to make it deeper or more shallow? So there is a relationship of cooperation, feeling the breath, experiencing it, and responding to it, making your breath more comfortable. And once more, you might have that willingness to smile into your body, and you can have a feeling of gratitude towards your breathing. With the breath, we are connected to the energy of life, or on a biological level, we know how important breathing is. So something we might give weight, we can value it. We might have a feeling of gratitude for it. And remember, at times my words might not speak to you, and then you just drop them. You might replace them with other words. You could just park them. So this is your practice, and I'm just inviting you to join me in this practice. But make sure to make it your practice. And then just for a moment, ask yourself, what made you come to this session? And just have that sense of that open question, just allowing it to enter yourself. What brought you here tonight? And we are knowing in the movement work, but we also knowing in the work with ourselves that often the first answer is not holding it all. So just patiently wait for any thoughts or feelings, any answers to arrive. And allowing yourself once more just to be open with that question and any answer or none that might show up. What brought you here tonight to this seminar? Allowing your body to still stay soft and open, the breath still flowing with ease. And one last time, just sitting with that question, what brought you here tonight, attending this wonderful event by the wonderful people or friends of being there. And then with this awareness for any answer or none that might have arisen, shift your awareness back to feel the whole body. If you're in the body, that you're experiencing your breathing. Become aware of the boundaries of your body, the way where you make contact with the seat on the chair or floor. Also include in your awareness the contact your feet are making, or if you sit cross-legged, your legs are making with the floor. Notice that out of that stability of the downward movement of your pelvis and your legs, you can also bring awareness to that upright movement of your spine, that sense of your spine growing tall and upright out of that space in the pelvis, weighted through the legs to the floor. This might even bring a very gentle movement into your spine of slightly more growing tall in your spine. Make sure that whenever an activity is brought into your body, that you're very sensitive around it, that that activity is free from tension. So at times we need to release the activity a little so that we feel comfortable around it. Notice the way how your chest might be slightly dropped forwards and down, with the shoulders dropped forwards and down. And then see if very gently you can begin to lift your chest a bit more forwards and up, allowing the shoulders to drop down, and accordingly adjust your hands and arms. Either they might rest on your thighs or in your lap, or just make sure your arms feel comfortable after that adjustment around your chest and shoulders. Be aware how each of those adjustments might have brought a change, a response to your breathing. And then become aware of your neck and head finely balanced. And just see if you can gently grow your neck and head long. And even here, soften. Feeling your whole body, feeling your breath. Now expand your awareness to that space that is around you. And with this feeling for body and breath connected to yourself, begin to open your eyes a little so that there is that sense of now becoming more inclusive, becoming aware of that space you are finding yourself in. And still being connected with your body and breath, begin to open your eyes completely so that now you also can have that connection to the people in front of you on the screen. So I did this practice because I want to make our session still more personal. So I would like just to hear, obviously not from everybody, but possibly from 2 or 3 people, what they are hoping for, what was the intention for joining, so that I might be able to respond to that in the movement practice I'm doing. I hope that is okay for you, or good friends of Benga suggest that I should ask you to put it in the chat. What do you think? Yeah? So, okay. So possibly just 2 or 3 people. Remember to unmute yourself. I hope that works. And just say what you hope to get from today, from this 2-hour session. And hopefully we get a range of 2, 3 ideas, and then I will work with that. So don't be shy. So when you're ready, unmute yourself and just say what you would like to explore today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And don't hold your breath. I know it's always very interesting how we start to hold our breath. And I just give you 2, 3 minutes time. Okay, Eloise, I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Helen. Thank you for that practice already. I don't know if you remember me, we've met a few times over the last few years, and I always find your mindful movement incredibly grounding, and I find I connect with my body in ways that I don't in other practices. So I just wanted more of you, I guess. but something I'm particularly struggling with at the moment, so I don't know if there's a particular movement that would help, is that my emotionally, I usually feel my emotions in my stomach and my chest, probably like most people. I'm quite disconnected at the moment due to a lot of stress going on. And so if there's any movements particularly that help me, or would help anyone really, reconnect with that sense of numbness inside. I mean, breathing always does, but I didn't know if there were any more physical postures that help. So I don't know if that's a sort of sort of thing that's useful to mention here, or not at all.
No, I think I might answer to that immediately. So my sense is there is styles of yoga where they tell you if you do this movement, it will open the boundaries in that area. I think it's more important to when you mention already that there is a sense of disconnection, that is already a connection. Isn't it beautiful? So you already have connected with some pain around it or some unhappiness around it. I have had periods where I felt like a stone, and I felt like, why can't I connect with myself? And it was nearly like trying to rip myself apart, and that doesn't work. No? So I think any movement that helps you to come back to a sense of connecting with your body and connecting with your body with that leaning into it, being present, being kind, that will have a much better effect than, obviously I could work on some chest openings, and I know some schools work like that. My sense is when there is something this closing, it will have a reason for it. And the worst thing would be now to pull up your fingers to get through. And therefore, I think sometimes it's much more nicer. And you've done already the first step. I remember that moment when I said, I'm so disconnected. I'm as hard as a stone. And then I was just sitting with that in my meditation and in my practice. Somehow that spoke to that part that had closed off. So it's a bit more about using the movements to connect and noticing the moments when we might disconnect through judging, comparing, on all that thing. So obviously we could work a bit around neck and shoulders, but sometimes it might be more connected to feelings that we might locate more strong, more visual feelings that might be connected in a different area. So I hope that makes sense, but I think the general attitude it might be the best way. No?
It's maybe about being, I think it's about being gentle and being soft after.
Yeah. And being subtle towards yourself. And I think the way I teach nowadays, which is obviously influenced through my yoga and Pilates, but I go on lots of trainings or attend days on somatic experiencing. And what they do is often they shift ways of moving. So they take us out, and I think Victoria will do a workshop on familiarity, which I guess I can highly recommend going to that. So we often have familiar ways of moving our body, and therefore we are sustaining not only physical habits, but we are also maintaining emotional and thought habits. No? And when we change very subtle ways of moving the body and bring in new information to the nervous system and saying, look, you can also move your shoulders forwards and up and back and down, that then can change the ways something can open up on a different level as well.
Yeah.
So, and we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Helen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the message. If you're redirecting your camera, is that for me?
No, that's just to the whole group. I've had quite a few messages.
Okay.
Sorry, Helen.
Thank you. I'm very much aware. I said 2 or 3 more people, possibly just one, because we are here to experience the movement. So if somebody might have a different question or different comment, and I just wait a moment, and if nothing shows up, then I will give you some introductory thoughts, and then we start. So if anybody wants to say something, and then we do that obviously in Gaia House. Yeah.
Sarah is putting her hand up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
I'd be interested in this idea of the space in which we're all connected and being aware that we are in that space with everybody else.
You're picking up. I have a Sunday afternoon class which is donation based, and that runs every Sunday, and some of the people here are attending it, and Sarah comes very regularly, and we have covered and worked on that theme. I will remember that and see if I can bring pointers in, but and see how that develops. Yeah. I picked upon it a bit by coming into your inner space and then slowly expanding awareness to the limits of your body, expanding awareness to your environment, and then expanding awareness through that space to the screen. But obviously there is more layers to it. Yeah. Thank you. I will keep that in mind. Good. So, I just give you a bit of an overview, and we want to break out rooms, so there will be at the end of the session some time to share, or you can just disappear. You in fact can disappear anytime you want, because not all of you know me. So if at one point you feel that's not what you like or want to do, please trust yourself. Just leave then. I was looking back and I thought the original ways of teaching mindfulness came obviously from John Kabat-Zinn. I attended a workshop with him in Austria some years ago. And in those days, he was very clear when he was asked about teaching movement in the MBSR, and things might have changed. He was very clear it should have been yoga. And he said that. And people felt a bit uneasy about it because not everybody was a yoga teacher. So that could mean it might have changed, and we call it now mindful movement, and it's definitely practiced in the MBCT context. I don't know how that works in the MBSR, but I like the word mindful movement because it enables people to teach from their own experience, and that might be not always yoga, and I guess that's one of the reasons why they have broadened that word into mindful movement. I think it's still important to see the connection of yoga into the mindfulness practice and where it sits with mindful movement. So bear with me. And if that's too much, just enjoy. I sometimes have a Buddhist teacher and I listen to his talks, and I just like his voice in the background, and I feel my body and I feel my breath. So I just want to set the tone. And if you feel that's too much, just stay with yourself. In the yoga definition of yoga is a practice to help you to still your mind. Yoga is a practice to help you to still your mind so that you know who you truly are. That is the definition of yoga. So, and what I want to pick up is that aspect, stilling our mind, stilling the waves of our mind. And hopefully we can see that quite a good connection into the mindfulness practice, that we know at times we get lost in our thoughts, we get lost in our mental activities, and we've lost the ground in something of a peacefulness, of a steadiness. Now, we have a definition of yoga posture, and yoga posture is defined as Stiram Sukham Asanam. That what has a sense of stability and a sense of ease, that is a yoga posture. And that means, that's for me the link into mindful movement. So if mindful movement gets you into a physical posture where you feel stable, not stiff, where you feel at ease, then you could say that is a yoga posture. So we might say lots of things that are now sold as yoga postures might not be yoga postures, and others that might not be sold as yoga postures, but according to that definition, they might be classified as a yoga posture. And you might, and one word I want to point you out to, which I thought I want to work it, is the word sukha. That is also known in the practices we engage when we go on retreats. Stiram Sukham Asanam. So the posture should have a sense of ease. Now, the definition of sukha, it has 4 words with it. Pleasure. So it should give you some sense of pleasure. It should give you some sense of ease. It should give you a sense, an access to a sense of well-being. And it might give you a moment where you feel in bliss. Yeah? And you might use that as a way to access if you do a yoga practice. Is that your experience? And then obviously the yoga practice is just an outer symbol of your mental attitude. So it's the way how you relate to the world, the movements, from that place of steadiness and from that place of sukha, pleasure, ease, well-being, and bliss. And pleasure, we look at that inner experience of feeling at points where the breath can give us extreme pleasure and joy, and where we can access an inner feeling in the body that gives us an extreme feeling of pleasure. So the pleasure we are speaking about is not the pleasure that will cost others dearly, the environment, and it's not the pleasure that might even harm us. So it's a very different pleasure. It does not put a burden on the world, but it can be accessed. So with this in mind, I think we start now our practice, because hopefully those words will have moved you into a new idea where it could sit. That's why I find when I look at the MBCT program, when we do the mindful movement practice, it is often only used as ways of noticing how your mind is relating to the movement practice. No? Like, are you striving or not? And I think we lose that bit where knowing how we relate to a movement can give us pain. No? But can we just put that aside for a moment and see, is there a way of moving that can give us ease? And then we would like doing it. But if you do a mindful movement practice and you go, ooh, 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 and hold and breathe and hold and breathe, that can be quite uncomfortable. And I would say, oh, I'm glad it's over. So the ease comes when I let go of it. The pleasure comes because it was so uncomfortable. Now, is there possibly a possibility to do that movement where you feel pleasure doing it and where you feel pleasure holding it? Yeah? It's a bit like having a pair of shoes, and when I was young in the sale, they had a gorgeous pair of shoes, and they were just half a size too small. But I was young, I didn't have enough money, and I thought, oh, that will be okay. Oh my goodness me, have you ever had a pair of shoes a bit too tight? In winter it was okay because I had cold feet and your feet shrink when it's cold. But in summer it was agony, and they were the most beautiful shoes, too expensive, that's why I bought them in the sale. And the moment I took them off, that was pure bliss. My goodness me. That's not the bliss we are talking about in the yoga. Struggling for an hour, and then when it has ended, you feel the bliss. So there might be some challenges at times, and then you use your breath, you use your common sense. Do you need to bend the arm more? Do you need to let go? Go back to the basic posture. Yeah. So that's the kindness, and I think you know I have a lightness around the work. My yoga teacher for 40 years, he always looked at us beginners, and he said, looking at you makes me miserable because you're always so much fighting with your bodies and you're so much unfriendly with your bodies. Just let go, just befriend your body, and then I'm happy. I don't mind if you can lift your leg or not, but if you're happy with the way your leg is, that's what I look at. Yeah, what a better world we would have if we would have that connection. So I thought I'd give you two types of movement. The first is a bit more based possibly on fitness. I don't know why I'm doing it, because most of you know I work a lot on the floor, but I'm adventurous today. So my invitation is to get you up to standing. If you can't stand, then my invitation would be to sit, and sit please on a very stable chair. So I'm not advertising IKEA, and I think from health and safety, these chairs are not appropriate anymore because they only have 3 legs. I'm using it, but normally I think they only sell now 4-legged stools. That is fine, but make sure you have a stable surface, because we will start working on the upper body. So you would be able to do it seated if that is your preferred option, or you would do it standing. And I do the standing, and if at any time you feel, oh no, that's not my cup of tea, then just lie down and let my words guide you through the movements, and those you can do just a little bit, keep doing them. We will go in the second part onto the floor. Yeah. So with this in mind, you might not see all of me, but I think the upper body is the more important bit in the moment. So we are just standing tall with our arms just by the sides. And if our hands here, you will notice sometimes people think hip distance is quite a wide stance. That is not the case. Our legs dangling down, if you make a fist, and if you put your fist between your knees, that would be about the gap you want to have between your knees. But if for any reasons you are needing to have your legs in a wider stance, then override my instructions as always. Lengthening now through the spine, and see that your eyes look ahead. Tendency might be at times that we look down or up. And in the standing practice, please keep your eyes open. It's a bit of a challenge to connect with your body and connect with your breath, as well as having your eyes open. And begin to have that sense of letting the long lines through your legs, and begin just to have that sense of lengthening your lines downward. And if you're seated on a chair, you might just sense your feet more towards the floor. That lengthening downwards will bring a bit more of a straightening into your legs. Don't hyperextend your knees. So some people get the knees so far back that is not good for your knees. Just feel that sense of lengthening through your legs. And as the legs go down, and as the pelvis sits on your legs, like when you bounce down a ball, that movement downwards can also bring a movement upwards in your spine. So that is the physics of movement. Something goes down, something else has to go up. So see if you can therefore feel the lines of your legs going down, the line of your spine long and going up. And then we just draw the shoulders a bit back and down so that we have the lines of the arms going long by the sides of your body. If the spine is long, there will be a bit of an abdominal flattening. Just think of spinal lengthening and what is called in the Pilates your core. Some activity will be here. Out of that spinal lengthening, now begin just to lift your right shoulder up to your ear. Notice how you're shortening that gap, and then let your shoulder go down, and repeat that. And don't copy me, so your movement might be smaller, your movement might be bigger. And notice both directions of the shoulders. It goes up and it goes down. And begin to notice, you have here some collarbones, how they take part. And begin to notice, do you have a favorite direction? Is it the upwards, the downwards? And then let that shoulder just go and rest, lengthening through your spine. Keep the long lines in your legs, the long line in your spine. Now feel that gap again between your ear and the shoulder, and let now your ear go towards the shoulder and let it come back. This is your, notice a much smaller range of movement. Hands touch your outer legs so that you have here a neck movement. It doesn't become a shoulder movement. And we make this one the last. And now those two can come together. So the shoulder might be able to come to the ear, and then they move back. And do that. And just notice you don't want to strain yourself. So there is not the idea that your shoulder has to touch your ear. Not at all. And begin to notice how it's like an elastic, bringing them closer, and then they're separating. And make this one your last, and let the arm just dangle. Lengthen through the spine. Notice if weight shifted too much forwards, it will be more in the front parts of your feet, and that could strain your lower back. So make sure you shift weight backwards into your heels. Your legs are long, your spine is long, and we do the other side. And notice it might feel different. It might feel smoother or rougher. The range of movement might be different. It might be more or less. You are attentive. You are working in connection with your body. You're not working against your body. And again, notice, are you stopping the downward movement? Could it be that it goes a bit further down than when you started? And making this one your last. Keep weight towards your heels, from that spread over your feet. Lengthen through the spine, and now let your ear come towards your shoulder and come back. Noticing how you're closing the gap. You might notice obviously some stretch coming to the other side. Again, when we contract on one side, the other side will need to release. Stay there, it feels enjoyable. And then we can bring those two movements together. And again, noticing, can you make it pleasurable? Can you make it enjoyable? I notice it seems smoother on this side. And I just wonder, how is it for you? I can't creep in there and speak to you, so but you might notice. Last one of these, and we stand tall. Lengthen your spine. Hopefully the shoulders sit a bit better on your rib cage. There will be a bit of abdominal flattening with the tailbone downwards, with your spine upwards. And now we let the shoulders come forwards and in, and they go back. And they come forwards and in, and they go back. And again, noticing, you might notice how passively your arms, they might even begin to do circles, passively follow that movement, and let your arms to dangle. Remember the long line of your legs, the long line of your spine. And then we bring those movements together. We circle the shoulders. Remember, you have lots of options here. Small and big, slow and fast. And then you can change direction. Let your breath be unhindered. Working on the floor, I bring in much more of a breath movement coordination in the moment. Just make sure the breath can flow unhindered. Good. Make this one the last. Do your backstroke. Lovely way to separate your shoulder blades, allowing them to have separate movements. Noticing that big range of movement we have in our shoulders, and change direction, doing your front stroke. And again, you might notice one area is slightly different. There's no wrong or right. We use our bodies differently. We have preferred ways of moving it, and that might show up. And then once more, let your arms to dangle. Long legs, long spine, and we work a bit more into the neck. I turn around, and we call this move the woodpecker. So you would look ahead, and then you get your head forwards, and your head slides on your cervical spine, as if you want to see if there is something in the bark that you could eat. And then you realize there's nothing you want to eat, and you draw the head back towards the double chin. So see if you can feel the head is moving on the cervical spine. An image a teacher gives is like a cup moving on a saucer. Make that movement half its size. Don't hold your breath, keep it flowing. And next time you have drawn back towards that slight tuck chin in, now begin to move the crown of the head forwards. Feel the back of your head, the movement comes into your neck, and let your chin come towards your chest. Feel to lengthen through the legs. Feel the length in your spine from the tailbone to the shoulder level, and then slowly rebuild the neck and the head. And we do that again. We lengthen the crown more upwards till we can tuck the chin in slightly. From here, as the crown goes forwards and down, head and neck moves, and the chin moves towards our chest. Now stay here. Think of the long line of your legs. Don't shift weight only into the front parts. Keep weight through the heels. Lengthen the spine up to the shoulder level. And like as if you would be a pendulum and your chin points to 6 o'clock, let your chin gently move to 5 o'clock, then back to 6, and then 7 o'clock. And slowly see if that movement can increase so that you begin to work diagonally across your neck. Keep your breath flowing and make this one the last, coming back to your center, and then slowly rebuilding the neck and head. Then you're back to your standing. We are moving once more. We do some arm work and then we are moving towards the floor. Lengthen through the legs, or make sure your pelvis sits well on the chair. Lengthen through your spine and begin just to lift your arms to the shoulder height, and this is called angel wings. You just bring the elbows into your waist, and that helps our chest to stay open. It helps the shoulder blades to sit in the back area, so we're not hunched up. Your abdominals are flat and your spine is lengthened. And then you just lift the arms up and down. Don't go higher, so we keep the shoulders away from the ears whilst we reach the arms long. Good. And now, if you can stay here, and you see the arms are slightly bent, and the natural way is that they dangle by the side. So if you lift them, don't bring them back, because that would hyperextend your back. Can you see that? So you want the arms, if you bring them down, and then you just lift them, and therefore they are in their natural position. And you lengthen your spine, and then we do just a few arm circles. And you notice I don't get my shoulders up. The shoulders are down. If in any doubt, lower your arms so that you keep the chest open and you circle your arms. Keep breathing. So there can be that focus on breath, and that helps us to go through a bit of a challenge. And then we change the direction of the circle. And then we lower the arms. And we let them dangle. If comfortable, close your eyes, just becoming aware if there are any sensations now around the neck, shoulders, the upper back. The heart rate might have gone up a bit, just because we put a bit more work on our arms. And we lengthen the legs downwards, we lengthen the spine upwards. And we lift the arms once more to the shoulder height and below. So don't get the shoulders up, keep them down. And then we move the arms forwards and we cross, and we open. And here we open them all the way back. So here we get our chest to open, shoulder blades come closer, and then we bring the arms forward. So now our shoulder blades open. Cross, open. Don't do it too big first. Cross, open. So we have here quite a big range of movement now, where the shoulder blades move together and move apart. We do it one more time, and then we lower our arms. Lovely. We come to the floor, and I would like to do that as a hinging. So if you're seated, you could sit on your chair and just hinge forwards for a moment. That gives your back a nice stretch. If you are standing, you let me see. You stand tall, and now you bend your knees a little, and you hinge backwards with your spine straight. So we are not in that round spine. Abdominals are flat, but we have our natural curvature. And the hands just go to our thighs or to our knees. So you see, it's very similar to the seated position. And then from here, you could do your cat stretch. You could stay here, or you might want now to round a bit and your head to drops. And here you get around the spine, you get a back stretch, and then you reverse, and you go into some back extension. Keep it gently. If you're seated, you will just sit in that forward, and then you could just come up and sit for a moment, and then you hinge forwards. Yeah, I don't want you to do a bigger movement, so you work your back muscles as you come up, and here they get a bit of a stretch. And then we are ready to come to the floor, and we have here two options. So if you go back to the neutral position, in the Pilates, you would possibly bend your legs a bit more, and you would come from the rounding, from that back stretch. You would slowly go forwards and down. Not advisable if you have back issues. If you have back issues, you would go more the hinging way. So you would bend the legs a bit more, nearly like you want to go to a skiing or kind of squat position. And then your stomach can more safely go forwards. Your hands can touch the floor, and you would walk yourself forwards and choose any other way that is known to you if you prefer, so that you can come to the floor. And when we are on the floor, we want to do the back care way. So you would just drop your buttocks, and we call that the mermaid. And that would be nearly when you're sitting on your bed. And then you could just slide yourself long. And then you could roll over onto your back, and you would lie on your back. And I readjust a bit. Hopefully you can see me. There we go. Good. So now, if you're lying on your back, so most of us, it is possible to have the legs long and your arms long by the sides of your body. If for any reasons you prefer to have your legs in standing, then please do that. Yeah. Traditionally, you would have the idea of having the legs long, the arms long, and your spine long, so that as fully as you can, your body is now relaxing to the ground. It's relaxing with the pull of gravity, and the ground is not giving in. The ground is still here. Notice if there's any holding in your feet or legs. With your eyes, if you can close, if at any time you prefer to have your eyes open, we are going now into more of a slowing down, in a more inbound journey. The reason is to find that life that is in us, and that connection with that inner vibrancy, that inner space. That's the pleasure we are referring to. So that's the pleasure that doesn't cost us anything, nor is it burdening the world. If you to smile to your feet and to your legs, so that your legs and feet feel the friendliness of your mind, and a deeper holding might relax. Feel the width of your pelvis, and if there are at times impulses to move a bit to make yourself more comfortable, then for sure you would do that. And just feel the width of your pelvis, and just sense, is the weight distribution evenly, or is there slightly more weight in the left side of the pelvis or in the right side? And if you then let your awareness move up through the midline of your body, you might begin to differentiate the left side of your back and the right side of your back. You can feel your shoulder blades and just noticing, is there a difference? Is one side having more contact with the floor or less? Can you sense one shoulder blade is closer to the spine or higher up compared to the other? All those things we might not have known. And then we let our awareness expand so that we begin to have in our awareness the shoulder girdle. We worked on that area a bit, so just noticing the width of it. Noticing if there is a difference, how you perceive the left shoulder, the right shoulder. And then also be aware how you position your arms. Are they close to the body? Is there a bit of a gap in your armpits? Are they further away from your body? Just noticing that. And as such, you are connected with legs, feet and legs, hands and arms, the torso, bringing your awareness to your neck. If your head is tilting backwards, if you feel it hangs backwards, please grab a cushion to put it under your head. Sometimes we need something under the head because sometimes as our chest pokes up too much and the head hangs backwards. That's not very helpful. It doesn't feel comfortable. If that is the case, sometimes it's enough to roll up your yoga mat, and sometimes you need to get hold of a cushion. And then begin to roll your head gently, left and right. Just helping your head to stay connected with gravity. And let it roll back to the center. Feeling the whole body and feeling the breath and its flow in your body. In somatic practices and the classical yoga I learned was a lot on the floor, helping the nervous system to relax. And that already will trigger a sense of more well-being in the body. And that also brings a bit more of a feeling of ease around your breathing. Now, having your awareness with the breath, including now in your awareness your legs and your feet. As you're breathing out, begin to move your legs more together so they come towards two parallel lines. That means your legs will be now active. If they are not active, they would fall away from each other. As you brought them into two parallel lines, they will be now more active. Maintain this feeling and notice if your breath can help you to stay in this leg position. Holding that position requires a bit more work, and your breath can support you. Bring your awareness to your spine. Feel the entire spine from the lower tip, each of your vertebrae, up to the shoulder level. And with your next inhalation, see if you can bring your spine vertebra by vertebra towards the ground. Include a spinal lengthening in your mid-back and include a spinal lengthening in your neck. That spinal lengthening might have triggered a bit of a movement through the pelvis, and you might have noticed something has happened around your feet and legs. If so, just notice. Arms positioned now closer to your body, soft elbows. Feel your body now in this position and feel breathing. Bringing your awareness to feel your right leg. With your next exhalation, bring your right leg to standing. Be aware of your breathing. Feel your left leg. Feel your breathing. And with your next exhalation, bring your left leg to standing. Feet are on the floor, knees point to the ceiling, and there's a bit of a gap between your knees, so the knees are not falling upon each other, and they are not falling away from each other. Make a note that the positioning of your legs will have affected your spinal position. So, for example, if you bring your feet close to your buttocks, you will notice that that could lead to the pelvis beginning to roll backwards, and that would begin to flatten it a bit more. Lengthen your spine. If you now begin to step your feet one step away, and possibly a little bit more away, then you will notice how your pelvis begins to roll more slightly forwards. If it rolls forwards towards the tailbone, it will create more of an arch in your lower back. Let's work on that for a moment. When you push the feet into the floor, it can help you to roll the pelvis more back and up, so you have a sense of a flattening in your lower back. And if you release that pushing, you could notice how the pelvis can roll forwards towards the tailbone area. So by using your feet, by pushing and releasing, you could trigger that movement which we call the pelvic roll. Let that movement find a comfortable place between those two positions. Neither rolled forwards towards the arching, nor too much rolled backwards towards the flattening. So you find what we would call the neutral position. And if you feel tightness at the back of your legs, your feet can come a bit closer to your buttocks. Good. Now bring your awareness to your right knee and begin to lift your right knee. Lift therefore the foot and let the right knee come towards your chest. Place your hands on the right knee. If that is difficult, it could be only one hand that you're placing on the knee. And begin now to draw that knee further towards your chest, and then gently push the knee gently away to your arms feel straight. You could say you're moving the knee up towards the head, and then you're gently moving the knee away towards the direction of your foot. Notice the movement of the leg in your hip joint. Let that movement end, and then gently use your hands to bring the knee a bit in, moving it gently between the left and the right. And see if you can keep your pelvis quite still, so that we begin to differentiate that movement of the leg in your hip joint without the pelvis too much rocking left and right. So you have here a bit of core work. The abdominals might aid you to keep the pelvis quite still. Then you come back to the center, and then you could do circles, noticing the weight of the leg sits in your hip joint, and then change the direction of your circles. And let that movement end. Let your arms relax back to the floor and place that foot back onto the floor. Then slide your right leg away from you, let it relax. And slide the left leg away from you, let it relax. And notice what it feels like now in your body. Any feelings that might be related to a feeling of a space. Could be that one side feels now more expanded compared to the other. Say how you perceive contact with the floor might have changed. And also be aware of your breathing. Begin to feel the rhythm of breathing in your abdominal area. So that you notice what it feels like as you're breathing in and what it feels like as you're breathing out. And then as you're breathing out, begin gently to draw the abdomen down to the spine. And it feels as if your navel moves more down to the spine. And with your inhalation, relax that activity. That activity helps you to keep pelvis and spine in a more stable position as you move your legs. With this in mind, when you're exhaling, feel that abdomen drawing in and let your legs come closer together again into that two parallel line position. Feeling your spine. And starting at the lower tip of your spine, see if you can bring your spine vertebra by vertebra towards the ground, lengthening through the spine. Now bring your left leg to standing, feel breathing, and then bring your right leg to standing and feel your breathing. Let your left knee now move into your chest. And let your hands touch the left knee, either from the sides, very lightly. If you can't touch the knee, you might just use one hand, or you could hold towards your trousers. And then you begin by bending your arms to draw the knee a bit more towards your chest. And by pushing, by straightening your arms, you move the knee away. So we get here a movement where you could hopefully feel the head of your thigh bone is moving and rolling, or would you describe it as gliding or jerky in your hip socket. Make this one the last. See if you can keep your standing leg, your right leg still. See if there is a bit of that sense for the length of your spine and your abdominals are active. Both of this helps us to keep the pelvis reasonably still as we now move the knee between the left and the right. That helps us to free up movement in the hip joint, being respectful of any limitations you might notice. And we keep the pelvis still so that we also can differentiate the movement of the leg in its hip socket. And then we can put those two movements together by very gently creating a circle. Let your breath be unhindered. Notice how the circle might shift a bit around the pelvic position, your spine, your neck. Change direction. Let your breath flow. And making this one the last, arms relaxing and placing the foot onto the floor. Both legs are in standing. sliding the left leg away, the right leg away, legs just relaxing, just letting go of any effort, arms relaxing, and just notice what it feels like now, the way how you perceive your legs, the pelvis, the spine. As soon as we don't move the body, we bring the awareness to the movement of the breath. As such, we are alert of any movements of the mind away to any thought processes, emotional processes, and we are just allowing our mind to take a break from that, keeping it with the experience of sensing into the body and feeling the movement of the breath. Let your awareness come back to that movement of breathing around the navel area. And as you're breathing out, very gently draw the abdomen in. And with your inhalation, relax. Notice this is an active movement, but it is not harsh. Also be aware as you're breathing out and drawing the abdomen in the Pilates, you would call that navel to the spine, and that could bring a bit more of the lower back moving towards the ground. And with your inhalation, you relax that activity of drawing in, but you don't need to push the belly out. And that activity can help us to release a bit of the holding tension in the lower back. Now feel that as you're breathing out, you also want to move breath and its energy into your legs. So the legs become active and therefore they become willing to move. And with this feeling, as you're breathing out, see if you can once more bring the legs to parallel. Then bring one leg to standing, followed by the other. With the legs in standing, you know if they are too close, your pelvis would have tilted backwards. If they're too far away, your pelvis would have rolled forwards. So ensure that they're in a placement where your pelvis feels to be in its neutral position, where there's just this little bit of gap in your lower. You're not rolled backwards, where you press the top rim of the pelvis into the ground. It is in neutral. Let your arms come to the sides of your body with your palms facing down. And then begin to stretch your arms towards the direction of your heels so that you create very long lines in your arms. As you're breathing in, stretch and lift your arms up to the ceiling and continue the journey backwards where you comfortably can take it. And notice that might trigger a slight more arching as the shoulder blades need the movement in your back. And that's okay. And as you're breathing out, lift your arms up to the ceiling and forwards and down. And notice that that helps your spine to flatten a bit more. Let's repeat. When you're breathing in, your arms stretch, they lift and they go up and behind. And you might notice the arms and the movement on the rib cage might bring a movement into your spine of a slight arching. And as you're breathing out, as you reach and lift your arms up and forwards and down, you might notice that your spine will come back to a bit more of a contact with the floor. As you're breathing in and as your chest expands and you lift your arms, you can widen them if that is more comfortable. They don't need to touch the floor, please remember that. And when you're breathing out, you could begin to draw the abdominals a bit more in, and that will help you to bring the spine more towards the floor. And we do that one more time. So we combine that arm movement with the spinal movement. Keep the neck soft, it might slide with that movement. So don't bring a holding pattern into your neck. And when your arms have come back by the sides of your body, let them fully arrive. Soften them around the elbows. And then you can bring your right knee into your chest and you place your right palm on top of the right knee. Then you can bring the left knee into your chest and you place the left palm onto the left knee with your arms being straight. The knees will sit on top of your hip joints and the feet dangle like a wet cloth. And now as you're breathing out, when you bend your arms, you can begin to draw the knees towards your chest, and you will notice that that movement then begins to move the pelvis as well, and that takes you once more into the flattening of your lower back. Gently. Now when you breathe in, you can straighten your arms, but move your knees forward, and that helps your pelvis to roll back to its neutral position. See if you can do that again, and see if you can really have that patience to be guided by your breathing. So as you're breathing out, the arms to bend, and you gently draw the knees, that begins to draw and pull your pelvis, so the top rim of the pelvis might move more up, and there will be more of a flattening. And then by straightening your arms, by moving your knees, you move your legs. And as the legs sit in the pelvis, you will begin to move the pelvis. Do that one more time and make it delicious, like nice chocolate ice cream. Make it feel good. It doesn't matter if that is a big movement, a small movement. And if you want to stay in position, one option would be just to gently hug your knees or just stay in position. Make sure that you once more then lengthen your spine. If staying in position is uncomfortable, then you place one foot on the floor, that arm relaxing, and you place the other foot on the floor, that arm relaxing, and you would stay in that position. So really trust that attitude. You want to feel good. You want to relate with your body so that your body can unleash these feelings of well-being, of inner vibrancy, of aliveness. As soon as you hold a position, you might notice that the mind might begin to move away. That's what is mindfulness about. Mindfully being aware of the movements of our mind. And if you're noticing that, for the duration of this practice, kindly ask your mind back to stay connected with body and breath. And then you begin to straighten your arms if your knees are in your chest, so that the feet dangle above the floor. And then you place the right foot on the floor, right arm relaxing, and you place the left foot on the floor, and the left arm is relaxing. You slide one leg away from you, letting that leg relax. You slide the other leg away from you and letting that leg relax. Legs, continue to relax. Just notice what it feels like when your legs relax. They do not hold against gravity. They hand themselves over to the floor. Your arms are relaxing. Feeling the length in your legs and the length in your arms. The length in your spine. Feel the whole body and feel the body is breathing. Might be even the sensation of the whole body breathing like in one. The facial muscles are relaxed. This is awareness for body and breathing. As if your breathing is very vibrant, very alive. So you can be playful with it. See what it feels like just to think that you intend to breathe a little bit more actively, longer and deeper, so that the breath and that energy that is in your breath can invigorate yourself so that you feel willing to do one more move. Obviously, if you prefer to stay here on the floor, sometimes we really like that, then continue doing that. But otherwise, if you can, let your legs move to parallel and then bring one leg to standing, followed by the other. Maintain the length in your spine and then reach your arms long and lift them up to the ceiling. So your arms are perpendicular to the floor. And then you roll over to your side so that as you're lying on your side, you have your legs stacked and choose the side that is comfortable for you. So you might lie on the left side or on the right side. You might want to have your cushion so that you don't strain your neck and really lie on the side. That feels good for your shoulder. Yes? So I lie on my right side and my left palm is on top, but I guess as I mirror you, I will call that arm my right arm so that you have my instructions as well. And you begin just to slide the right arm a bit more forwards, and you will notice how that draws the shoulder blade away from your spine. And then you begin to lift the arm and you look to the fingertips. And your head just comfortably rolls. And you let that arm go over and keep looking to your palm. And you might move it all the way, but it might not be able to move all the way. And then you lift it up again. And notice how you're rolling across your back, over your shoulder, and you come forwards. Don't hold your head. So you really make sure the head rolls. And you reach the arm long, and then you lift it. And look at the palm you're creating is this rainbow shape. Feel how you're rolling from the left shoulder across your back, over the right shoulder, and only go as far as you comfortably can go, and you come back. Notice which breathing has naturally come. I did not give you a breathing. Notice, are you breathing in as you roll? And are you breathing out in the returning? Is it the other way around? Are you lifting as you're breathing out? Are you returning as you're breathing in? You might notice that passively your top knee, I call it the right knee, it might passively, for some of us, lift a bit. Let that happen, but don't actively lift it. Just allow it. And so you will begin to notice when we work on our shoulders, we also work on our pelvic positioning and therefore on the hips. So it might naturally happen that your knee lifts a bit. Good. And then see if you can stay here for a moment. Now, if that is uncomfortable, I would like you to bend when you don't feel comfortable in this position with your arms long, I would like you, the right arm, that moving arm, to lower itself by the side of your body. And for you to see it better, I would just for a moment turn around. So instead of having your arms long, I would like you to lower that arm. So you would still have some chest opening, but not to the point that you strain your shoulder. And see for a moment if you can rest here, head can be rolled back to the center, and feel your breathing. See if your breathing can aid you in that position, allowing the breath to be smooth. And if at any point you need to lower your arms more, you need to bend them or do that. These are variations that can help you to stay in the position and to be comfortable. And then it's time to return to our starting position. So you slowly begin to lift the arm and you roll over onto your side. And then you could push yourself up. And then you could just swing your legs around. So you would still have me on your screen. And then you would lie on the other side. Yeah. Just make sure you lie on the other side on your mat. You know the movement. So you lie now on your right side. Your left arm will be your moving arm. Your legs are stacked comfortably. Remember, you can have a cushion under your head. And the first option would be just to slide your top arm, your left arm a bit forwards on the floor, and then just slide it back on top of the hand. So if you feel that would be the best movement for you in the moment, do that. Notice how much range of movement you have here by sliding the arm, shoulder, and shoulder blade. If that movement you want to make it bigger, you would begin to lift your top arm, head rolls as you look to your fingertips, and you could begin to move that arm. And we call that T stance. You're creating the letter T with your arms in relation to your long spine. And then you return. There is no idea that you will have to reach the floor behind you. We are interested in organic movement where we respect the body, where we work with the body, not by having a relationship of fighting with our body. Notice how you're rolling across your upper back from the right shoulder, across the upper back to the left shoulder. And then the movement wants to end. Let it end. This is a very important point. Sometimes there is this whisper of our body saying, oh, please, I don't want to go further. And then we are overriding that. It is really working with the body, not against it. This can now become the holding of a posture. So the first option would be that your arms might be easy in that T stance. It might be that feels very uncomfortable, bend your elbows, lower your arms a bit. That might do the trick that you hold the posture and you have a sense of comfort, well-being, ease. If that still doesn't work, remember that the moving arm, your left arm, can go even further down, being placed along the side of your body. And therefore, you would be in that position, but it would be less intense. And see if you can be in position and let your breath support you in this position to bring with it a sense of comfort, of well-being, of ease into your body. And that means if there's any more adjustments you have to do, you do that. Do you feel comfortable with body and breath? Facial muscles are relaxed. And then we bring to mind that returning to our first position where we were lying on the side. See if you want to get a bit more of a stretch feeling into your arms. And then you stretch and lift the left arm up to the ceiling and over. So you're lying back on your side. And as you're lying on your side, roll over onto your back. And lying on your back, this was back extension work. So we want to possibly bring a bit of release into the lower back, so you can bring your left knee into your chest, followed by the right. Just having your hands on the knees, and then very gently just drawing the knees a bit closer to your chest. So you just keep a feeling for the length in your spine, but you will notice how that gently stretches into your lower back. Don't do it forcefully. Just let the weight of the hands help the knees to come towards your chest, allowing the spine to be long. And then you can have the left hand on the left knee, right hand on the right knee, and then you could do 2 separate circles. So you circle the left knee and the right knee as if you're creating the number 8, noticing the legs moving in the hip joints, and that brings a bit of a movement to your pelvis. Ease. See if you want to change the direction of your circles. And let your breath flow. And making this one the last. As you straighten your arms, your knees move forwards and your feet dangle above the floor. You got the left leg up first. So see if you can place the left foot first on the floor, left arm relaxing, and then right foot to the floor, right arm relaxing. Just feel that arriving of the arms on the floor, the feet on the floor. Notice what that feels like. And then let one leg slide away from you, followed by the other, allowing the legs to relax, just to fall away from each other. Notice if there is a wiggling you want to do, a movement you want to do. And now being present in your body to notice how your body is still digesting those moves. Your nervous system is still integrating those moves. And it is in this moment of silence that we are present to those more subtle inner sensations that are happening in the space inside of our body. And if any of those sensations become very subtle and your mind gets not anymore interested in them, is drifting off, then gently call your mind back and see if your mind is more comfortable to feel the breath and its movement in the space that is in the body. So that your mind can continue to be mindfully aware of body and breath. And if in that process a feeling of a silence emerges from the depths of your body, then let your mind just rest in this experience of the silence. If you don't experience that sense of a silence emerging in the space that is in your body, because that is a gift, it might happen or it might not happen, then let your mind stay with that experience of body and breath. So it helps your mind to stay with this present moment, helping your mind to access calm, ease, and well-being. See if some of that taste of a connection can be maintained as we are preparing us from that inner focus to integrate awareness of that which is around us. You might begin to expand your awareness beyond the limitations of your body to that space that surrounds you. Sound. Even with your eyes closed, you might be aware of some light from the room or from the screen. Sensing the space that surrounds you. Let your breath support you to move again. So see by moving your legs a little bit and your arms that your breath begins to lengthen and deepen. Notice if that movement can become bigger. It might become a sigh. It could become a stretch. It could become a yawn. So begin to move in any ways that seem to come naturally to you, that feel good. And then we slowly move from lying to sitting. So you might want to roll over to your side so that you can use your hands to push yourself up. But you will do it your way. For some of us, we have our ways to come up. So we are already one more level up, a bit more towards sitting. If your blood pressure time, and then you might either do it your way or you might want to come into your box position. And in the box position, there's lots of options. Sometimes people just put one step forward and then they come up. I show you the Pilates way. So from the box position, you could begin to tuck your toes under. You walk your hands towards your knees. You begin to lift your knees as you walk your heels backwards, and you would be in this safe back position. Hands could go onto your thighs, and you lift your chest, your spine. So you'd come back up to standing. your blood pressure. If you tend, like I have, to have low blood pressure, you do it slowly. And then we come to sit on our chair so that we can have, as we started with a moment of sitting. We finish with a moment of sitting. So choose any position that feels comfortable for you to be seated. So that the benefits of that work with gravity, helping our nervous system to relax, that we continue to feel some of those benefits as we are now upright, seated. If comfortable, close your eyes. If for you that is not appropriate, keep your eyes soft, but keep that inner seeing present. Feel once more to smile into your body with that sense of gratitude, this body, this life. In the body, the breath flows. And we are relating to that experience of breathing again with a sense of gratitude. You're giving it value, giving it presence. We give it value. We are all breathing, and we might consider how we are in this way connected. And I'm breathing out into that vast space that is around me. And when I'm breathing in, I'm connected to all those living beings that are breathing. That includes the trees, the flowers. Everything is breathing, everything is partaking and sharing that space. So breathing in, I'm connected. And breathing out, I'm connected. Breathing in allows me to feel connected with myself. And when I'm breathing out, I can feel connected with all that which is around me. Give up even that idea and just sit a moment in that space that surrounds us, that holds us. Grounded in this present moment, the heart open and the mind clear. Now moving your awareness again to your breathing. By bringing awareness to the breathing might respond. It might be like a dog waving its tail, like when you come home and there is the dog and waves its tail. It could be that your breath is really happy, that you give it presence, that you connect with it. And sometimes you might notice your breath will respond. It might deepen, might just have a feeling, it might in its own language start to smile and wave to you. So if your body, the body feeling your presence will also be happy. It might bubble like champagne. And with this awareness for body and breath, you can begin to open your eyes a little, so you're connected with yourself, but you begin to connect with your environment. And still feeling your body and your breathing, you can begin to open your eyes more so that you can also include the awareness of the others that are around us. Good. So, here we are. So we have 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left. Is there anything you were curious about or anything you want to share? Remembering that's always interesting to hear from others. So then feel free. I think we have a good enough overview if you unmute yourself and want to say something. Remembering it's always very appreciated by others.
Hi, good evening, Helen. It's Mariana here.
Yes. Yeah, I can see you. You're on my screen on that bottom right bit. Yeah. Hi, Mariana.
Hi.
Yeah.
Firstly, thank you very much. That was beautifully held, and I came into the space, I think, very much in a headspace, and it feels, even though it was at times frustrating, I can feel the difference now, how much more present I am. So sometimes it's really just about letting the process happen and unfold, and then see sort of what happens. Just something, I don't know if it's maybe a little bit more technical, but I was just curious when you were talking about doing a lot of floor work. So I was just curious, what do you have sort of any more insights on how that sort of soothes the body or soothes the nervous system, that contact with the floor? Is it something about the touch or the contact?
If you think about it, when you're standing, your whole nervous system has much more relied to the issue of standing. There is much more instability, and your whole body weight sits in this lovely feet.
Mm-hmm.
No? And we often feel very uncomfortable to have our eyes closed. So we have our eyes go outward, they take a lot in, and that means we are less present inside of our body. No?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have much less contact with the floor, where we then can begin to relax. No?
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that's when I teach mindfulness classes, I know the benefits of lying, and I teach in each session a bit of movement. But in the beginning, I might do something what we did in the beginning, just a bit of shoulder release. No? And then I might add in some more sitting, and then from the sitting, getting them more into that forward bend, so that people become also increasingly more comfortable moving with their bodies. But the tendency will be that they look at you, and when they look at you, they can't connect very much with what's happening with them. That's the fact. But for some, they need you as an anchor. But they should never copy you. You have to be very careful to remind them. It's just to give them ideas about the movement, but it's not about copying you. And then normally I bring in already what it feels like when your eyes are closed when you do that movement. And then they become more comfortable also to do some of the lying down. And then they can often notice how much we hold against gravity. For example, the gaps behind your knees, the way you lie on the floor will change. No? When you have done some movement practice, and that shows you how your level of tightness will have changed. When you lie more comfortable on the floor, you have a direct feedback that tension holding in the body has relaxed. No?
Yeah.
And therefore you have a much better reference point. No?
Yeah. So it's really more just about getting in touch with the body rather than sort of too much regulation of the nervous system.
Yeah. You help the nervous system to relax.
Okay.
No? Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Any other comment or question? Don't hold your breath. It's always a funny thing, waiting if somebody else is saying something or just hoping it's over. I don't know. Yeah, I hear just lots of thank yous. Yeah, okay. So we might just leave it for that. Obviously, I mentioned I run a donation-based session on Sunday, so you can go on my website and then I can sign you up for that. It's a shared email, group email. And yeah, hopefully you have a bit more of that sense of ease in your body. And I think Tanisaw Bhikkhu, a Buddhist monk, he speaks, you're in for some trouble if you can't befriend your body. and I think that's a lovely way to say it. We whenever I think I'm much more better with my body now. When I started off, I was quite harsh and very judgmental. And luckily, I had teachers who took that out of the way by closing the eyes, not comparing. And then that gift of that inner life that is in us, that is beyond us, that is bigger than we are, that shows up. That shows up. That deep holding. Yeah, and nobody can take that away, however difficult life can be at times. So you're directly connected with the source. And I think that's what the yoga is about. That's what the movement is about, to connect with that source. Yeah. So thank you for attending. And as I said already, there's lovely other events from Friends of Benga. The next one is about trauma. Then there is a day, I think a practice day. And then Victoria is also taking up some bodywork movements in relation to Alexander, and the theme is familiarity. So stay connected with Friends of Benga. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Sleep well, and I might see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Helen.
Thank you,
everyone.
Helen. Thank you. Hope to see you.
Thank you,
See you
Helen.
then. Thank
That's
you.
lovely.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good. Good.
Oh,
Good.
good.
Okay. Thank you. It's always nice you get all those thank yous. Okay. So thank you, my lovely friends from Benga.
Oh,
Have
Thank
a
you
good
so much.
night.
Thank you,
everyone,
Helen,
for
so
attending.
much. Yeah, for your time, for your dedication, for your support. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Helen, I have learned again so much from you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It always happens together, even on Zoom. No, some theme emerges and then we go together. So
Lovely.
thank you, Friends of Benga, for organizing it. But I'm part of Friends of Benga still, so thank you to all of us. I'm not on the committee, but we are still together. So thank you so much, and I will leave you and see you soon. I've signed up for the other ones as well, for some of them. Thank you so much. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Helen.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.